Sidney Poitier. Oh my gosh, Space Cadets! One of my favorite YouTubers is on, the Bloodthirsty Cannibal Gamer. Now he primarily makes review compilations of old retro video games. Let's watch! Hello, I'm the Bloodthirsty Cannibal Gamer, and I'm here to talk about retro video games. Today's episode is Arcade Ports on NES Volume 2. Before we begin, if you could send a human kidney, yours or somebody else's, it doesn't matter which, to 555 Morrison Street, Tucson, Arizona, 98623, I'd really appreciate it. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel and set your notifications to all. Okay, let's get into this. The first game we're looking at is a video game called Xenophobe by Sunsoft, and I have to say that it never fails to surprise me when I find a new NES game or arcade game that rips off the Alien franchise. And this one does exactly that. The goal, as the opening message states, is to kill all the Xenos before the base self-destructs. It seems to me that if you let the base self-destruct, then the whole killing Xenos problem will be taken care of. You get to choose between 3 characters at the onset of the game: Dr. Quack, who has the head of a duck, Dr. Fog, who has the head of a potato, and Dr. Zerdizzer, who I didn't play as. It seems to me, however, that there is no gameplay difference between the characters. Controls work thusly. B shoots, A jumps. Down and A allows you to crouch, and you can crouch walk. A also lets you interact with switches and pick up items. If you get knocked down, pressing A helps you stand up quicker. When you are knocked down, you can shoot from a prone position. The goal of the game is to kill these alien rip-off creatures. You can pick up different weapons to do it, but most of the time you'll be stuck with this slow pea shooter to do the job. Now, I have no idea how the levels determine when to end. I thought I had to kill all the Xenos for the level to end, but sometimes the levels would end while there was a Xeno still on screen. So, I don't know what the deal is. There are other enemies in the game, and killing any enemy will sometimes cause them to drop items that give you points and or health, which is all displayed in the middle of the screen as the screen is bisected so as to accommodate 2-player co-op. Which I didn't try because I have no friends due to, well, frankly, being a cannibal who eats all other people. It happens. The levels in the game look suitably ripped off from Aliens. The levels all simply loop, but the loop is cut off by a force field for some reason. Enemies are always popping up on screen, and as the game progresses, the environments grow to resemble a destroyed base being taken over by aliens. Overall, I enjoyed the game. It's not too hard. Once you figure it out, it's down to just being really easy. There are no continues, but that wasn't a problem because I never really died. After a while, the levels do repeat, and it gets sort of dull, but it's good for like an hour or so. Next up on this here docket is a game called Rolling Thunder, put out by Tengen and developed by Namco. I like the giant computer title screen of this game. Like, it's really cool with all the little guys wandering around and stuff. It's good. The goal is to stop some lizard guy who looks surprisingly like your mom. And you gotta rescue an anime babe, so that's cool. Gameplay goes like this. Run to the right, shooting guys until you get to the other end of the level. A jumps, B shoots. Now there are 2 planes to each level, the upper plane and the lower plane. Press up and A to reach the upper plane, and down and A to drop to the lower plane. You have limited bullets, 2 health points, and 3 lives. Luckily, there are continues, but unfortunately, they're limited. Go figure. To get more ammo in each level, or a machine gun, or more time, yes, there's a timer, you can enter these doors throughout the levels, and you will get those things that I just said above. The enemies in the game are plentiful. They jump around, they shoot at you. Most of them are dressed up like bad guys from Space Ghost, and that just makes me laugh. Look, I'm murdering Moltar. The enemies come at you with guns and bombs, and as you progress, they become stronger and stronger. You also have other enemies such as these beast guys, panthers, and whatever these fire things are. Jumping in the game is absolutely awful. You have no control over your jump, so whatever your trajectory, when you begin the jump, that's the trajectory you'll have to live with. Most of the time, it gets you killed. So you won't have to live with that trajectory for long. Trajectory? What the fuck am I talking about? I enjoyed Rolling Thunder. It's pretty fun and it's fast paced. I can see why there's a sequel, but like most arcade games, it gets repetitive and after a while it loses its luster. Cobra Command by Data East. I played this and I was completely frustrated with it. You're in a helicopter. You gotta save some guys. You can fly forward and back. Start flips you around. You get machine guns and rockets. In the menu, you can change weapons or switch your engine to turbo. If you run into anything, you die, and you will run into pretty much everything. You can get hit by enemy fire, but you won't die outright. You'll take hits until you catch fire and then slowly descend to the ground where you'll explode. The game is very frustrating. You don't move perpetually forward like other shooters. You press forward to move forward and shoot diagonally down. To shoot forward, you have to be stopped, and to shoot diagonally up, you have to be going backwards. It's so annoying. If you press back, the screen will stop moving, but when you start to move forward again, you're frozen in place while the screen catches up. This is such a horrible design. This can lead to you dying because you can't dodge left or right once the screen starts to catch up. It's freaking terrible, and I absolutely hate it, and I think it ruins the game. Not a recommend. No sir, I don't like it. Now we're on to a port of a classic, Rampage. In the original, you could choose between playing a giant gorilla, a giant wolf, or a giant lizard. In Rampage on the NES, you can only choose between Lizzie the lizard or George the gorilla. And of course, these are actually mutated people, and when you die, they turn back into a naked human, and must streak away. I enjoy the premise of this game. How efficiently can you destroy society before society destroys you? Basically, you just try to knock down cities while the military tries to kill you. You can kill choppers, tanks, cop cars, trucks, trains, boats, soldiers, etc., etc. To gain life, you eat things like turkeys, or roasts, or coffee, or eclairs, soldiers, prostitutes, women in bathtubs, etc., etc. The world is your buffet. All the cities pretty much look the same, except Manhattan, which has the Statue of Liberty and the Twin Towers in the background. And of course, the Statue of Liberty is as big as the Twin Towers. Best part about this game? Unlimited continues. How much I love this game simply because I can keep playing. What Unlimited Continues means is that you can rampage all over the United States to your heart's content. But you don't just get to destroy good old US of A. You also get to destroy our neighbors to the north, Canada. Mostly French Canada. The game is fun, and the Unlimited Continues had me playing for much longer than I was expecting to. But like all arcade games, play it long enough, and the gameplay becomes repetitive. So yeah, good game, repetitive. Operation Wolf isn't just a cool name, it's a cool game. It's a light gun game, but unfortunately, I don't have a light gun. However, this game does allow you to use the controller, and it seems to work pretty darn well. You'll do a lot of tapping on the D-pad to move the cursor around. It's accurate enough, I suppose. It wouldn't be a problem except you have limited ammo and grenades. This will hinder you at first, but you'll get used to it and adjust. You'll be tapping the crap out of all the buttons to kill the enemies. It's a military soldier game of the 80s, so you'll be shooting up soldiers, tanks, and helicopters. The story is simple and classic. Slip into the jungle and rescue POWs while taking out the bad guy. But don't shoot any of the innocent villagers, or there will be consequences. This game was a lot of fun, and is totally like a game for young boys who liked G.I. Joes and Rambo. The game throws in some nice flourishes, like in the jungle level, a lady is taken hostage, and you have to take out the bad guy while he's standing behind her. It's fun. There are also some sweet after level and death title cards with a bit of text for story. In one instance, should you run out of ammo, you end up as a POW. In another one, you're shot to death. I mean, like, look at this. He's just being murdered. My favorite, however, is the one where he's getting info from one of the bad guys. Yeah, that's right. Let the gun do the talking. The village level is absolute chaos. You're fighting in this village and all these villagers are running around. It's hard not to shoot them. Sometimes you do, and it's tragic, but hey, that's war, man. Good game. I'd like to try it out with the light gun one day. Probably even better. And now it's time for a good old beat 'em up, and it's a classic on the console, I believe. it's TMNT 2, the arcade game. This is a port of Konami's arcade game, which I have played drunkenly many times at Ground Control in Portland, Oregon. Full disclosure, I never watched the TMNT cartoon show when I was a kid. My closest association with it was this one time me and all of these other kids were playing on a playground, and another kid came out and said, "The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are on TV," and all the other kids ran inside to watch it, and I was left alone at the park. Fucking bastards. Anyway, this game is what you would expect from a port of the Turtles arcade game, at least graphically speaking. You get pretty good cutscenes going on, and check it out. Michelangelo fell on his butt. That's hilarious. The game, from what I've played, follows the arcade game pretty well. I know 2 extra levels have been added to this game, but I'm not sure which levels. The game looks like an NES game. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, but it plays sorta weird. You can't get enemies locked into a combo. You hit them, and then they hit you. And you hit them, and then they die. The basic strategy is you hit them, then you run away, then you hit them again, and that's the strategy. It should go without saying that you can choose from all 4 turtles. Enemies are varied, but mostly ninjas. Some ninjas throw ninja stars. Some have spears, some have swords, some lob dynamite at you. And towards the end of the game, they all just say fuck it and start throwing torpedoes. One group of ninjas actually throws boomerangs, which made me think that maybe there's Australian ninjas in the world. Here's the motto of the Australian ninja. Are you ready for this? Here it is. If you hear "G'day, mate," it's too late. Pizza Hut must have sponsored this game because the Pizza Hut logo is all over the game. The bosses are huge. You got Rocksteady and Bebop. For some reason, Rocksteady kicks at you while Bebop will charge at you. You'd think maybe it'd be the other way around. I mean, it's strange since Rocksteady is the rhino and all, and you know, he would be the one to charge at you. You know what I'm talking about? There's this guy in the sewer. I don't know what he's called. There's this wolf guy. I don't know what his name is. I'm guessing Snow Wolf or Leather Beast. Leather Beast is what they call me in San Francisco. Shredder is in the game, although I didn't make it to him on this playthrough. No, Shredder, don't eat the turtles. They live in the sewers. Baxter Stockman is my favorite fight because he's easy as shit and April is sitting nearby all tied up. Just the way I like all my yellow jumpsuit wearing news reporters. I enjoyed this game more than I expected, and luckily there's 3 continues, which seems to be enough to make it through the game. So I like this. I recommend this, but I probably don't have to. You probably played this and already know it's a fairly decent game. And lastly, we have a port of a classic Strider, spelled with 2 exclamation points. It's by Capcom in the arcade, and the Genesis port are superb classics. So the NES port has to be good, right? Right? Well, you do get this sweet little 8-bit cutscene at the beginning showing some characters, but preceding this is a small text blurb explaining what a Strider is. It says, the toughest people to perform acts such as infiltration, abduction, explosion. Explosion? They can perform explosion? Instigation, etc. What falls under the category of etc.? Day trading? So this isn't your daddy's Strider, and it isn't very good. Mainly, it's frustrating. The game is kinda buggy. The gameplay is like an action platformer akin to Ninja Gaiden or Kabuki Quantum Fighter. However, these games run smoothly and have responsive controls. This game, Strider, does not. Jumping sometimes works and sometimes not. You'll want to jump forward, but no matter how hard you push forward, you won't. And the scrolling upward is chunky and does a number on my eyes. I mean, really, it just freaking makes me sick. I want to like this game because it's sort of a Metroidvania type game where you search a 2D level for power-ups that help you progress, and you can travel back to previous levels and access new areas with new power-ups. It's kind of cool. They got some cool effects like lightning, and it's also got a ninja story with great bad English translations. It's just the execution is awful. Like the sprite flicker and chunky scrolling and bad frame rate they just murder this game. And it's too bad. It could have been really good, but instead, it can be described with just one word. Disappointing. That's it for this episode. Now, if you'll excuse me, I intend on making bratwurst this evening, and there are a couple of Germans I gotta go out and catch. So I'll just say, Auf Wiedersehen, until next time.